Good people of YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and Tudor is making a return to the channel because we're talking about the Black Bay 41 Monochrome from the grave, actually, since it's already found a new home, partly because of the other watch that we're talking about, the Omega Seamaster 300 Professional, Omega Seamaster Professional 300 SMP. So in this video, I'm going to compare the many different aspects of the SMP and the Black Bay 41 Monochrome, like the dials, cases, bracelets, movements, and the wearing experience, most importantly, and we'll see how they stack up against each other, because I think that there might be some folks cross-shopping these watches, but I just think that's really fun to see great watches through the lens of a different great watch. I'm actually pretty excited because it's been quite a while since I compared two watches from roughly the same part of the watch world, you know, sub $5,000 Swiss divers. Okay, now let's get into it. So before we get started, let's just get into the dimensions. They're relatively similar, but the Seamaster does wear a bit bigger because it's 42 millimeters and it wears like a 42 millimeter watch. Whereas the Black Bay 41 is actually 40.6 millimeters at its widest point, and it wears like a bigger 40 millimeter watch, but the Black Bay 41 Monochrome has a 21 millimeter lug width. So it gives it a little bit more presence, so you're kind of looking at a small 41. Also, both watches are 13.6 millimeters thick, so they aren't thin by any means, but they do manage their thickness as well, albeit the Seamaster does a better job because of the more rounded bezel and the case, and the fact that it's 42 makes it feel a bit better in terms of its proportions. And if you want more detailed information about the dimensions or whatever we're talking about in this video, check out the dedicated reviews for each watch. On the wrist and in daily life, these watches each have their own very unique wearing experience, and I think that they can absolutely coexist in a collection because they coexisted in my collection for quite a while, but on the paper, they're similar, and that's really about it, because the Black Bay 41 Monochrome is a relatively low-key, classically designed diver, and the Seamaster is a modern diver made with modern materials, and it holds up fantastically to this day, even though it's from 2018. Because of this difference, the Black Bay Monochrome is a much more versatile watch than the Seamaster as far as I'm concerned. Both watches can be worn daily if you want, but in my experience, the Seamaster is more on the sporty side comparatively, which isn't what I want all the time, especially when I'm just wearing more, I guess, nice casual clothing to go out during the day or whatever it may be. Sometimes I don't feel like wearing that watch. On the same rubber straps, both are comfy, but the Seamaster is more comfortable on my 7.5-inch wrist, and for me, it comes down to the smoother case back of the Seamaster. But on their bracelets, though, it's a completely different story. More on that in the bracelet section. But in the end, I think the Seamaster is executed at a much higher level, as it should be given the higher price, but there's a lot more to take in because it's a more complex watch than the Black Bay 41, and that may or may not be what someone is going for. The Black Bay Monochrome, especially on the 3-link bracelet on a strap, it's a much more under the radar watch, and it's simpler in every visual way. So after wearing both of these watches on a daily basis and in normal life, is the Seamaster worth the extra, I don't know, depending on where you get it, $700 to $1,000 more than the Black Bay 41 Monochrome? Yes, absolutely. That is if it's what you like more, because there really aren't that many watches out there like the Seamaster. But even still, the Black Bay 41 still has the upper hand in very key aspects. So the first and the main place where the Black Bay 41 Monochrome is simpler than the Seamaster is the dial, and there is nothing wrong with the dial. It's a very nicely done dial, black with a sunburst finish, and the silver hands and indices look good. It's got white lume and white writing, very clean. I absolutely love the monochrome aesthetic of the entire thing. Very classic. In terms of design, the hands and indices are very Tudor, and the sunburst black dial looks sharp in the sun, and in darker lighting conditions, it can look fully black, which is something I really like for low-key watches like this. The Seamaster, on the other hand, has so much to look at, and yet it doesn't feel busy. I mean, I feel like they just nailed it with this design. The dial itself is made of black ceramic, and it's got laser engraved waves, and the waves add an awesome bit of depth. But the indices are also quite three-dimensional, so you get even more depth when you look at the tops of the indices all the way down to the depths of the waves. I mean, these two things on their own would have been more than enough for me. But the key reason why this dial just transcends to a higher level is the way that polished ceramic reflects light. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I can't stop looking at it, and it can go from jet black to being gray in full light, but with full clarity somehow. I mean, I just love it. As opposed to my Sin 556, and I rebought that watch, and that video is coming soon because I have so many thoughts about that. Anyways, the Zen 556 has an unbelievably jet black dial, one of the main reasons why I got it, but it just reflects light in its full intensity like any other reflective surface would. So it's kind of a matter of the Seamaster being counterintuitively jet black and the Zen 556 being intuitively jet black. And that all comes down to ceramic. So I think the best way to describe it is that polished ceramic in a way has its own natural anti-reflective coating while still being fully shining and obviously not having any sort of coating whatsoever. It's truly unlike anything else out there. So when a very nice yet fairly common sunburst black dial comes up against this Seamaster dial, it's obviously gonna lose out. I am biased because I sold that one and I kept this the Seamaster, but still, it's just, oh, I can't get over how much I love the Seamaster dial. But again, you might not be wanting this in a watch, so Black Bay 41 is going to be a better choice if you want something under the radar, once again. Now onto the case. The Tudor case is very simple, polished slab sides. It's got a brushed finish on the top of the lugs. Can't complain about the finishing. It's very well done. There's no doubt about that. And there never has been for any of the Black Bays that I've owned before. The Omega, on the other hand, has a big brush surface on the side, and it's got the famous twisted lyre lugs that look exceptional. They don't look fussy on any of these Omega tool watches, and yet they add so much extra visual interest. And yeah, I mean, I don't know which watch was the first watch to do it for Omega, but they really hit the nail on the head here, and they've done so ever since. And on top of that, I love Omega's special brush finish. I mean, I've described it before as just being a little bit more spicy, having a little bit extra spice that you don't see on other watches. And it's something that I really missed about the Seamaster ever since I sold it back in 2019. The bracelets, though, are a completely different story because Tudor just wipes the floor with Omega. Because my Black Bay 41 Monochrome had the 5-link bracelet with a 21 to 16 millimeter taper, which looks so elegant and so perfectly proportioned, I think. And it's got the T-Fit clasp, which to me is the best quick adjust clasp on the market, period, bar none, except for the Pelagos. But Pelagos was the originator of the T-Fit. But anyway, and that means a lot to me because I'm a bracelet guy, and yet when I rebought the Seamaster, I bought it on the insanely well-made rubber strap because the first time around, I got the bracelet and I wore it for maybe like the first week and never again. I just didn't like it at all. And that's as much as I like the design because I think it's intrinsic to the Seamaster as a whole. The biggest issue here is that it's 20 millimeters and it does not taper, which to my eyes looks absolutely horrendous. And because it doesn't taper, it's got a whole lot of extra unnecessary weight on board, making the entire watch heavier than it needs to be. And that's not helped by the very chunky clasp that has a pretty good quick adjustment, but the whole thing just felt so off and so chunky and clunky. But thankfully it looks insane on straps, so that's a good thing. Omega, please just taper the bracelet a little bit, just like 20 to 18 at least, come on. And now finally the movements, and I'm a huge fan of both movements, mainly because they're both MEDOS certified, and the certification is actually for the entire watch as a whole, so you know when you get either one of these watches that your watch is going to be anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss, which is just an insanely high number, and the accuracy range in daily life is going to be 0 seconds to plus 5 seconds, which I absolutely love. I hate it when a watch is slow. And there's also other parts of the certification. Very well done. In general, I'd be much more willing to pay a premium for a MEDOS certification over just a cost certification. The Black Bay 41 Monochrome has the no date movement, the MT5602-U, and the Seamaster has the Omega 8800 movement with a date. And I have had fantastic performance with both of these watches, no complaints there, but the SMP does have a power reserve of 55 hours versus 70 hours on the Black Bay 41, which is not an insignificant amount, but also at the same time, it doesn't really affect me that much because I'm glad that it can survive a full 2 days without dying. But more practically, that means that I can wind it every other day alongside all my other 70-hour power reserve watches. But the one pretty big thing that Omega has going for it is that the movement finishing is simply spectacular. I mean, you don't see this type of arabesque finish on watches almost at all, and while I don't look at my case backs very much at all, I mean, I definitely do enjoy and appreciate the Omega movement and just looking at it and just taking it in. More so, of course, than the sterile case back of the Tudor, which I'll admit does suit the watch and it doesn't really bother me very much. I mean, I'm not against closed case backs whatsoever, but I can't help but love the Omega movement. It just looks so good. So there you have it. Let me know down in the comments which one of these watches you would choose or have already chosen. And until the next video, good day.